Hello, my name is Samantha Tyson, and today we will be talking about digital literacies. So the objectives are to define and understand how literacy has changed over time, and specifically looking at digital literacy. We'll learn a few specific digital literacy tools and take a deep dive into Jamboard and EdPuzzle. So what is literacy? Of course, it's reading and writing in print, but over time with technology, it's changed to include a lot more than that. So what is multiliteracies? Traditionally, right, literacy was just focusing on reading, writing, and print, which is still very critical and a learned skill. But over time, we need to also think about literacy as including consuming and creating content through different modes, such as music and pictures and online text and videos. And also need to remember to teach students that literacy has a social purpose, and based on who your audience is and what the intent of your creation or what you're reading is, it's going to possibly be written in a different way or a different format. So for instance, texting to your friend is going to be different than creating a lab report for a science lab, for instance. Ultimately, though, it is still important to focus in on teaching students comprehension skills, reading and writing skills, overall skills in communication, and all that is involved with that. So what is digital literacy? So digital literacy, defined by Hiller Spires, a professor at North Carolina State, has three main buckets: finding and consuming digital content, which also includes the learned skill of how to filter through all that is available and making sure that you can find reliable sources and true and factual content. Of course, creating digital content and then communicating and sharing that digital content in a responsible and ethical way is also very important. So let's take a deep dive into some specific digital tools. So there are many tools that will be beneficial for students with learning disabilities, and they can all help in many different ways and can, of course, help all of your students. Some that I'm going to focus on and mention today will help students read longer, write longer, and show greater improvement with spelling. So the first one is text to speech. So reading online content aloud to your student, and it will help students who have trouble decoding with fluency and comprehension. And there's a couple different actual apps that will do that for them. There's speech to text, which is a voice dictation software that is also very helpful with students who have trouble with fluency and spelling. There's Reader View, which we've all probably used and can be incredibly helpful to prevent sensory overload and to take away all those ads and extra things that are on the sides. And the one I like to use in the classroom a lot is Clocks. So it can help with time management, with goal setting, and keeping students focused on a particular task. Say, if you tell them that they're only going to have 5 minutes to complete something, it can really help them focus in on what it is and not think that it's going to go on forever. All right, what about just general digital tools that are available for the classroom? Here's a list of the main ones I use in the classroom, but today we're going to talk about EdPuzzle and Jamboard. So EdPuzzle would be a great tool to use in science or a humanities class if you have a video or some sort of content that you would like to share with your students in an interactive way. It allows you to add these intentional breaks for comprehension, questions, notes, and more. So I've used it as to create a flipped classroom approach for a particular lesson, and today I'm going to show you one. This is not a video that I created. This was a video available on YouTube talking about decomposers. So if you were studying that in science and you wanted to show them this video that really showed them these pill bugs and earthworms and snails, and then you could stop the video along the way and add questions. So this is a question about how much more nutrient rich is the soil after it has passed through the gut of the earthworm, right? So what does the decomposer do? What's its purpose? And in this case, it's highlighting that it's 10 times more nutrient after the earthworm has digested it. So the other nice thing about this is you can add specific feedback based on which question a student asked, and every student would see that feedback who chose that. So if you particularly wanted to say, like, well, one time wouldn't be that much more nutrient rich, so it's actually 10 times. So then you could give them the correct answer within your feedback that you've given them. You can also trim videos. So if you found like a 15-minute long video, but you only wanted to use a 5-minute section, you could just use a 5-minute section. You can also add voiceover. So say maybe you're using someone else's content, but you want to highlight a particular section or say it in a different way. Additionally, with these questions, it's not just multiple choice questions. You can also add open-ended questions and notes. A lot of times with notes, I highlight things that I want students to write down, maybe in their notebooks, or maybe you want to highlight a particular drawing you want them to do, or you just want to give them a task to do in the middle of a video or at the end of a video. Additionally, at the end of videos, I like to often add something at the end that says, what are your outstanding questions? Or what can I explain in more detail tomorrow in class? Lastly, there's a fabulous teacher dashboard that shows students' progress through the video. You can look through their specific questions and you can give additional student feedback or direct feedback based on what a student typed in as an answer or something. All right, what about Jamboard? So Jamboard is a powerful collaboration tool available through Google. I'm specifically going to show you a group activity I've used called Pass the Problem. Each member is assigned a specific letter, and based on what letter they are in the group, they have a specific task on each of the pages in the Jamboard. So this is adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. It's a great tool that can be used and edited simultaneously by whoever has access to the Jamboard at that time in an editor mode. So they can draw on the tool, they can type into the tool, they can insert images, they can insert shapes, and based on whatever device they're on, so if they're on a tablet, maybe it's easier for them to write with their finger or a stylus, but maybe if they're on a computer, it would be easier if they just typed in. Additionally, they can add sticky notes, and you could even assign different students different color sticky notes, and they can type in here and share information with their peers. I've also used this kind of like a pear deck where you share a lesson for the day with the entire classroom and you go through it together, and you could call on specific students to add to a particular slide at a moment during your lesson, or maybe a group of students. So it can be also an effective lecture tool as well. Of course, just like any other Google application, you can lock the Jamboard by the owner at any moment. So change it to view only, and that's an easy thing to do. So in summary, literacy is important in every subject. It involves more than just reading and writing, and it continues to evolve, and there are so many different digital tools available. And here is a list of references that I used today in some of my slides. Let me know if you have any questions.